Okay, we're just getting the stream sorted out. I'm gonna jump over and pull up my checklist. So apologies if I don't see any messages in the live stream for the next few minutes. I'm going to be kind of busy getting the airplane up and running. Okay. So we're in the Embraer 110 or 110 Bandeirante, and to get this started we go overhead and we turn on the external power to begin with, and then we come down to the transponder and turn it on to standby. Back overhead, turn the no smoking sign on, which is here, and the seatbelt sign. Nav lights go to on, anti-collision lights go to on, and inverters go to on. Then we go and program our flight plans. This is going to take a minute or two, so bear with me. Just waiting for the GPS to capture satellites. So Michael Burkill is saying evening. Good evening. So we are going to be referring to the little nav map as we set this up. So there's our route that we're going to be following. So we start at Kaitaia down to Keri, then Wangarea, and Wangari, I'm not sure how you pronounce that one. Spring Hill, North Shore, Ardmore, Hamilton, Tokoroa, Taupo, Napier, Palmerston, Paraparaumu, and Wellington. So we're going to go basically airport hopping all the way down the North Island, or hopefully that's the plan. So Kaitaia first, so NZKT goes in first. So flight plan. It's going to take a minute or two. NZKT, or it would be even faster if this responded in time. Enter. Next one, NZKK. Enter. Next one, NZWR. Enter. Next one is Spring Hill, NZSL. Enter. Next one is NZNE for North Shore. Have I just got that wrong? NE. North Shore, enter. NZAR for Ardmore. Enter. NZHN for Hamilton. Enter. NZTO for Tokoroa. NZAP for Taupo. Then NZNR for Napier. So some people have asked why I do this way, why I don't just load them in. I actually like to use the aeroplanes the way they're designed in the real world. NZPM. And it only takes a minute or two to do this. Palmerston North, there we go. And then finally, down to Paraparaumu, NZPP. And the last one was Wellington, NZWN. NZWN. Wellington International. Flight plan. Done. So we'll move this to the first page on the GNS 430 and leave this one on the vector view because that gives us kind of the best of both worlds. Okay, so after programming the flight plan, we go back to the pilot view, we go and set the flaps to takeoff, which I've just done. Barometric pressure, we'll press B to shortcut that. We could have looked up ATIS and figured it out. Instrument panel, control 3. We're going to go and turn the fuel pumps on, both sides. Then we're going to go to the engine start procedure. So up above we go and turn the inertial separators to on, left ignition to on, and left starter to on. We come down and we watch the NH gauge here for the left engine. When it gets to 10%, we will move the mixture for the left engine to fully rich. Or sorry, fuel condition, not mixture. It's a turboprop. There we go. So that can go all the way forwards. Then we wait for that engine to stabilize. Then we can turn the starter and the ignition off and go for the right engine. We can do left or right, either order, doesn't matter. There we go, so it's just stabilized. So go back overhead, turn the ignition off and the starter off on the left engine, turn the ignition on and the starter on the right engine. So again we wait for the NH to come up to 10%. And there we go. Fuel condition can go to full rich and wait for it to stabilize. So once we have done that, we can go and turn off the ignition and the starter, and then we're into the after start checklist. Okay, that's done. So starter and ignition can come off. So back on the main bus bar overhead, which is up here, generator 1 to on, generator 2 to on. We can now switch the battery master to battery, taxi lights to on, and we're going to go and prepare the HSI for the runway. So let's go and have a look. Wind is, so we're going to go runway 36, so we've got a bit of taxiing to do before we can take off. So 360 degrees on the, which is what we've got on both the heading bug and the course, because that's the defaults for them anyway. Transponder goes to on now, so we're going to turn that on. Parking brakes can come off while we're taxiing. It's done, and we are moving. Let's go and have a look on a map and see where we are. So we're wanting to double back on ourselves, come out of here and go left turn and then right turn. So I will change screens from the checklist once we've climbed out and start answering comments and taking part in discussion along the way. Should be fairly straightforward today. So we're making our way along runway 12, and then we'll go down runway 36 and give ourselves enough room to take off. So let's get some speed on. Get this show on the road. So now we are up and running, we can go and turn the pitot heat on, but we need to do it within 2 minutes of takeoff really. So that's up overhead. So we got the passenger heating and the pitot heat. So we're using the non-painted runway today. Landing lights need to go to on as well, so we'll go and sort that out. Landing lights are on. Try not to veer off the runway while gazing around the cockpit. Just gently slowing down as we roll in towards the end of the runway. And we have somebody joining us. So I'm just going to go on the parking brake and check the checklist. So landing lights are on, so propeller RPMs go to max now. The lights are on. We turned the, did I turn that all the way before? There we go, collision lights are all the way on. Okay. Time to go. I'm just going to check something before we go any further. Yeah, I haven't got the second engine control working properly. I didn't think that was the case. I'm just going to do this, apply, go back, resume. I thought we were a bit down on power. Obviously while we were taxiing it doesn't matter. It's very common for twins to taxi on one engine. Okay, take off. And look out the window, admire the New Zealand countryside. There's quite a lot of turbulence. So let's concentrate on keeping our aircraft steady until we get to 3,000 feet. Whoa, that was a huge wing dip there. So we're going to keep a straight line out over the bay here until we get to 3,000 feet. Just going to trim the elevator a little bit. So we're at 2,500 feet a minute at the moment. We're not going to be able to sustain that, so set the auto feather. I should have been using propeller sync. Oh no, sorry, yeah, auto feather's okay for the moment. We should have had that on takeoff really. We should have now on the climb out go for propeller sync. Now we're away from the airfield. Completely forgot about that. I must have misread it off the instructions. My own instructions that I'm not following properly. Okay, so landing lights are on. Taxi light can come off now. Inertial separators can come off. And let's begin our route properly now. So engines can come back to about 85%. The condition can come back similarly, and so can the fuel. You will notice this isn't reflecting the GPS yet, so we cycle this, and suddenly it will. Okay, so let's get the autopilot on. Autopilot on. Heading mode. We'll go for altitude hold mode for the moment. So we're on an intercept course for the GPS track. And we can enjoy the scenery. And I can now switch over, now we're happy. Whew. Wow, lots of complimentary comments, thank you very much. Oh, my brother's watching, oh my word. Well, that turns the wick up a bit. I better not make any mistakes, had I? So we're in a Bandeirante, and you can see it's a bit odd. Let's put it that way. Should we see if I'm outside? It's waggling around. Since Sim Update 11, they've broken something in the aerodynamics that causes planes to waggle a little bit, but looks worse than it is. Okay, so we're coming back onto the track. So if we go and engage nav mode now on the autopilot, it will arm it, which means it will capture when the CDI comes in on the horizontal situation indicator. So if we can climb up to, actually let's have a look on little nav map, see where we are. So we're just coming back in after our takeoff. We haven't really got a lot of time to climb, have we? So should we just go up to 7,500? So if we arm that and then go to vertical speed and tell it to climb at 1,000 feet a minute until we get there. So you'll see that happen here. We've got 1,000 feet a minute. Altitude's reading the climb rate. The autopilot mode is reflected on the panel. There's a lot of turbulence. What's the wind doing? So we're experiencing 16, oh yeah, it's gusting all over the place. It's 20 knots, 10 knots, yeah, that's where we're being thrown around. So if I was to go and turn the gusting wind off, it wouldn't be doing this, but then we wouldn't get the realistic weather, which is half the fun. Just reading my brother's comment about the gyro. It's funny, isn't it? No, it's just the turbulence is throwing the plane around. We could try the yaw damper. I guess that might help it. a little bit. So it kind of has a little bit. Trouble is, all the yaw damper does on a big plane is really to do with the ailerons, to stop adverse yaw coming out of corners, or out of turns I should say. It's not really designed to keep the nose in a straight line. How are we doing on the engine gauges? So we're well within limits all the way down, which is good. So notice it says down here that the propeller sync must be off for takeoff and landing. The only reason I can think that is true is in case you get an engine failure. So one engine can't affect the other one. Auto feathering. I've not actually read up on what the auto feathering is all about. But you only use it during takeoff and landing. Let's go and check the lights. So nav lights are on, that's all good. Landing lights are on below 10,000 feet. Okay. So we can admire the New Zealand scenery. Look at that bay over there. It's awesome. Have we got any other aircraft nearby? Can't see any on the map, can we? We can change the chapter on here. It's on the nav one, isn't it? If we change traffic, ADS off. Now I can't remember how you do this. You push this, turn that on, and turn enter, and there we go. Now we can see traffic. So if we look behind us, we should see that person. I'm not sure if they're above or below us. They haven't got their nav lights on, I don't think, otherwise they'd be pretty clear, although they're 20 miles away. No, 2 miles away, sorry. So if we bring this down, they are below us going the same direction. Why can't we see them? Maybe we'll see them when we come in towards the next airfield. So let's get this back on. It would help if I controlled this properly. So increase, zoom. So we want to come back down again. I'm going to come back down manually rather than mess around with the autopilot. So just keeping an eye on the airspeed. I think you'll find the airstrip is going to be directly below us at this rate. Should we fly in orbit to lose some height? Tempted to fly out to those bays over there to have a look at them. There's quite a lot of hills around here. I ought to be quite careful, I guess, about how we do this. Let's go and jump across the cockpit and see if we can see the airfield. These valleys don't look very friendly, do they? Can anybody see an airstrip? Where's the GPS? Well, it's down here somewhere. Is that it in front of us? Still going straight towards it. Is it hidden in the trees over here or something? So looking at the map, we are going to have to double back anyway and come in for runway 33. So we're going the right direction. It's over here. Somewhere. It's a bit worrying that we haven't seen it yet. There's a main road. It's hidden in the trees over there. You can see it now. Hurrah! Problem solved. God, this thing is being thrown around all over the place. So, visual approach, runway 33. What's the name of the airfield? Kerry. Just keep an eye on airspeed. 140 knots at the moment. So, let's get the undercarriage down. And that will bleed off the speed as we descend with the extra drag. Whoa! We really are being thrown around. I'm going to have to side slip it to lose some speed. Whoa, it didn't like doing that, but the speed came off. I've never done a side slip in this aeroplane before. That was terrifying. So we're down to 100 knots. Should be good for the approach. Look at the crosswind pushing us sideways. It's touch and go, remember, we're not doing a full stop. Oh, this is dodgy. There we go. I'm not staying on the road for long. So flaps back up. Well, not all the way, but gear up. Someone's about to stall and put their plane in the ground down there. Yep. Bang. Okay. What have we done down here? Clear. Managed to put this in a special mode by the look of it. So we turn. Flaps can come back up now. and we're back on our way. So we will straighten up. Well, the route is obviously we've got the GNS 430 in GPS mode, so the route is hard coded in to reflect the track. So we can just use that to get back onto the track. Coming up to 2,500 feet, or we were until I started diving at the floor. This turbulence today is no fun at all. So we've got kind of 10 gusting 25 knots by about the look of it. Being thrown all over the place by that wind. I'm tempted to climb to... How long is this leg? 38 miles. Let's climb. Let's get out of this turbulent air. So we'll turn back across the track. So we'll capture the GPS on the autopilot. So autopilot on, nav mode on, and we will go for... That's the climb rate. We want the altitude. We're going to go for 10,000 feet. Arm it, and then do it at 1,700 feet a minute. We should be able to get away with that. Okay, so the aircraft is, you'll see it capture, it will turn right very soon. It's just capturing the course deviation indicator to get back onto the GPS track. So you'll probably see a very gentle bank right on the attitude indicator in a moment. Yeah, it's just started to do it, look. They need to clean the windscreen, don't they? Apparently there's a big update coming for this aircraft that's going to redo all the textures, improve the 3D models, add more systems modelling inside. I mean, it's pretty good at the moment, but there's bits and pieces that are missing. Things like the environmental control system don't appear to really do much. You can put this onto automatic down here, but what it actually does is anybody's guess, really. There doesn't appear to be a cabin pressurization gauge anywhere either, or like oxygen levels or anything like that, so I'm not sure how that works in the real thing. We've got the fuel flow, that's all there. The weather radar's there, but it isn't operable. Oh, we've managed to do that here as well, look. Let's get rid of that. There we go. So we can see distance to go, 27 miles to go to the next waypoint. We're on the track, which we can see there as well. Should we have a play with radio navigation along the way? Is there any VOR stations around? No. Okay, so we won't be playing. Oh, there's some down here. What's the range on them? If we go show information for, we want the VOR at Wenau Pi Auckland. So 130 mile range. How far away from it are we? Let's measure this. Measure distance from the VOR to us. So we're 80 miles away, so it should work. 116.40. Let's try it out while we're climbing out. So we want to change over to the nav radios. What was it again? 11640. So we'll switch that over. We will convert this over to heading mode so we don't suddenly go all over the place. So we'll go heading mode on the navigation for a while. Then we can switch the CDI over back to radio navigation. And we should find... Has it actually... No, it hasn't picked it up, look. What was it 106? No, it's 11640. Now, why haven't we picked it up? We're well within range. What about Auckland itself? What's the range on that one? Show information for... That's not going to help us, is it? Show information for the Auckland. That's 130 miles as well. Should we try this one? 114.80. Just 114.80. We're not picking it up. That's kind of stunning. I'd have thought we'd have picked it up from here. We're well within range of it. Maybe that's one of the things they're going to help on the update. Okay, so that's not working. We'll go back to GPS navigation. What's the message going to say? Okay, we have a message that doesn't want to come up. Have we broken this? It would appear we have. So we have no more navigation system. Serves us right for playing with it, doesn't it? Although VLOC works. But why is that not working? Maybe that's why VLOC isn't working. It's because it's actually broken. We've managed to break the GPS system. Luckily, we have a backup. Because effectively little navmap is like having a GPS in your back pocket, so we can just do heading based navigation along the way. So Oggy is saying, hello, do you think the new avionics are good in the business jets? Yes, yeah, they're much better than they used to be. They're getting more and more accurate to the real aircraft. So we're at 10,000 feet, by the way, so we've leveled out. At 10,000 feet, if we go above 10,000 feet, we can turn the landing lights off, but we're not going to. We're just going to stay down, trundling along, and admire New Zealand along the way. So this is the North Island, which is much more like Europe. It's not as mountainous as the South Island. It's quite cool, though, to be able to see out the windows and see all this amazing scenery as it rolls past. We've got live weather on, by the way, so this is exactly, or an approximation of the weather that's going on in New Zealand today. Little fluffy clouds, but it's kind of, yeah, a whole sky full of it. How are we doing? Wonder what I did to that caused it to go wrong. Can we get to anything? No, all of the buttons are packed up. That's a shame. It's not something I've done, is it? I wonder if we pull up the tablet and we pretend we're going to go to the... Yeah, it won't even... Because the GTN 750 isn't installed, we can't even attempt to switch to it. I was wondering if we can reset this in some way. But it doesn't look like we can. Oh, it's suddenly OBS mode's working. But then why can't I pick up the message? Something happened then. I think we just bust it, basically. So we're way too high now. So we're coming into Whangarei, so we're going to circle the bay as we descend. So while we were busy trying to diagnose what we've broken, the aircraft's busy still flying. That's really frustrating that we can't use it properly. But at least we still got the route. Oh look, the scenery is not loading. Maybe there's something wider going on with the simulator then. Because there's the airfield, look. But it's got a tile loading issue going on with the data. So there are server issues going on today. Who knew? Yeah, look, it's having real problems loading the data in. It's starting to load it. It's getting the 3D object, it hasn't got the background tile. There it comes. So there are issues today. Okay, let's have a look at the wind. From the north, 15 knots, but that may not represent what's happening on the ground. On the ground we have 10 degrees, 12 knots. So it probably supports runway 06 more than... So we want to come in here, so we'll circle the airfield and come back in over the edge. So we'll do that now. We'll circle directly overhead. And then do normal kind of visual left-hand circuit in. Keep an eye out for hills. Wonder what the plane is that's on the runway. Looks like an Airbus. So Oggy's asking, what GPU do we have? Yeah, I'm just looking at the other comments. Simon Taylor said he was bumped offline. Yeah, I was earlier as well. So there are server issues going on this evening. Oggy's saying, which GPU? It's an NVIDIA 3080 RTX. If I used a normal monitor, it would be much smoother for everybody. So you're probably seeing chop now and again. That's because I'm watching it in 4K here. And then I'm downrating it to 1080p via the OBS software for the stream. So I'm actually seeing it a lot higher quality than you are. Okay. So undercarriage is coming down. Flaps are coming down. And we're going to roll in and approach. So, unlike the first time, we'll actually do this time. We'll turn the sync off. We'll set the auto feathering, which apparently is the correct procedure for an approach in this aircraft. Let's go and get straight on the runway, shall we? If we sit up in the cockpit and then move the view down a bit, we get a bit better view. So we're going to deal with a crosswind in the opposite direction this time. So I'm going to scoot sideways in the seat, as you would in the real world, to see past the pillar. So the aeroplane is pointing off to the left. Doesn't really make much difference to us. We're a bit too close to the stall speed, but at least it's stable. Whoa, gusts. And the air is stabilising out, look, as we get close to the ground, which is what you'd expect, to be honest. So engines to idle. That windsock looked a bit fierce, didn't it? the tail is forcing the aeroplane to rotate. As soon as we had like a turning moment, touch the ground with the tyres, the wind hits the tail and tries to rotate them around the tyres, which is always fun. So gear up, flaps up. And we're off. Okay, so right turn with our broken avionics suite. You know, I might go to the next airfield and change aeroplanes, because it's a bit of a pain, isn't it, having something that's broken. Okay, so now we are back in cruise. We can turn on the sync, turn off the auto feather, and we're good to go again. So next leg is 35 miles down to Spring Hill. So we will engage autopilot. We'll engage nav mode. We'll engage altitude hold. At the moment we're at 1600. We'll go for 2,500 at least. Arm that. Do it at 1,000 feet a minute. So there we go. See, even the autopilot is having to fight against the turbulence. We still got the yaw damper's still on. Flight directors are on. Okay, so let's have a read of the live stream comments now we're on autopilot. So we just sit this somewhere in the cockpit so you get a nice view. There you go. Let's have a read then. The 247D, oh, the Boeing 247D is great fun. Yeah, you look after them, yeah, that all makes sense. Yeah, the 247D is fragile. But yeah, like you say, as long as you follow procedure and keep an eye on the engines, it's just keeps trucking. It's great, and it sounds amazing. The one major failing of this aircraft is the sound. It doesn't sound very good at all. So how long have we got? Let's have a look at the GPS. So we got 27 miles to run until the next airfield, and we're going to stay low this time, although there are some hills coming. I'm not sure if little nav map has got the, yeah, it hasn't got the altitude track for the scenery in New Zealand out of the box, so that's a bit of a shame. I have actually got Navigraph here, so if I was to save this as a PLN file, save it in my downloads folder. Let's see if we can do this. So go to Navigraph, pop it open. Load the flight simulator. Oh, that's interesting. It can load the flight simulator flight plan. Perfect. So now we've got a full VFR chart from Navigraph, and we can pull up things like the airfield charts. There aren't any for that airport. That's not surprising really, but if you were to go somewhere like Auckland, we might get one for here. Open charts. Yeah. So you can superimpose them onto the map, which is quite cool. So you can go for like the standard, we want the approach charts, don't we? So you can get a decent view of the approach plan into the airfield. Anyway, so yeah, Navigraph works quite nicely. They've just released this recently, so Navigraph 8 now works inside the simulator, which is quite cool. So as well as being able to do high altitude charts with the IFR, you know, with all the sectors and all the rest of it drawn in. You can also go and have VFR charts now as well. So it's quite interesting that it draws in, you know, all of the restrictions and fixes and stuff like that. It's very good. Anyway, huge distraction. The terrain page on the 530. So yeah, what we can do, if this is working, remember this broke earlier. So can we go through? No, look, the chapters aren't working. It's bust at the moment. I'm going to change aeroplanes at the next airfield. So I'll go back out to main menu, come back in. I'll load the flight plan. Where are we actually heading to? Spring Hill. So if I remove the first 3 bits off of the flight plan and save this as a PLN file, I should be able to load it straight in, which will save us that time with the menu. If I load something like the new the RV-10, that's pretty quick as well, isn't it? And it's got good visibility for bombing around the valleys. So this aircraft's all about procedures. The RV-10 is all about just flying rudder and stick, really. So we've got 16 miles to go. 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes. That's our current speed. Although I guess if you want to see something in the 530, we need to load a plane that's got the 530 in it. One of the Carinados maybe. They've all got, or a lot of them have got the 530, haven't they? So Dean Nold was saying about the Boeing 247 liking to go on fire. I've never actually managed to set fire to it, but then I followed the instructions. The 530 and 430 have both got terrain views. It's just that I've managed to somehow break the autopilot today, so we're going to go back out. Oh, sorry, broken the avionics. So none of the controls are working on them. The CDI key works, but none of the rest of it is working. Oh, the OBS key's working. Yeah, we determined that earlier, but flight plan button isn't working. It's all gone. Interesting. Have we just got it back? I'm going to turn that off. Have we just got control back? The chapters are working. We've just got the system back. I think it was related to the ADS. I think there's a bug in it. We just fixed it. I turned the ADS off by pure chance and we've got access to the system back. Okay, so yes, we can show you the terrain view. So this is the terrain view. It's relative to where you are. Because we are above the hills, you're not going to see anything. Later in the route when we're near some hills, if I leave it on terrain view and we put this back on now, is this one still broken? I think we had a dialogue that wasn't showing and pressing enter caused us to come back out of it. That's my suspicion, anyway. Right, so you can see here, as we descend into Spring Hill, there's a good point actually. We need to look at the wind. What's the wind actually on the airfield? 040 degrees, 14 knots. So it's coming in from over here. So we're going to have to come in runway 34. So you should be able to see the airfield soon. If we hang out over the nose. Can anybody see an airfield? Is it down here? Well, it's still a little way away. It's 9 miles out yet. So it's probably... Is it beyond that ridge? No, it's before the hills. Ah, so it's going to be down in here, I think. because this isn't 10 miles, this was a lot closer. It's over that ridge, so you can see there is some hill here, and then there's another dip. This isn't representing. We can put this on satellite view, can't we? But it's not as good as terrain view. So there's the airfield. So we are going to come off autopilot, lose the speed. So we've actually got the airplane working again, so we don't need to change. We did find a bug, and we got ourselves back out of the bug as well. I think it would be fun to change though, to put a more fun aeroplane on. This plane is good from an academic point of view. Although I said it on the YouTube heading, didn't I, that we'd be flying the Bandeirante, so I better stay in it. So if you remember, we have to turn on the auto feathering, turn off the propeller sync for approach. So we're going to drop the gear, drop the flaps. A bit high. So we're going to side slip to lose some altitude and speed at a rate of knots. And now we're in a much better place. Look at the turbulence, oh my word. Why is there a car on the runway? Not the thing you really want to hear, is it, on approach? And why is there a massive tree on approach? Not helpful. Thankfully we're not stopping. We've got to climb out over those others as well though. And we're down. Flaps to take off position, full throttle, and this comes off the ground like an elevator. Mind you, you have got that crazy wind going on. So, gear up, flaps up. And now you can see that terrain view doing its job, so that it will recede. The red areas will recede as we climb above them. So anything that says our altitude is red. Obviously as we climb, the red is receding. Yeah? You can see now it's going black as it gets further away from us. It's all clever stuff. Heat My Shorts is saying, is he flying live right now? I am indeed. See, me. This is me, look, waving the yoke around all over the place. Okay, on with the next leg of the journey. So we have now got quite a short leg, I think. Let's pull this round, 21 miles to the next destination. So we'll go and stick the autopilot on. We will go on nav mode. We will set our altitude to 5,000 feet. We will arm it and we will get there at 1,500 feet a minute. And we will pull the engines back. We don't need to be thrashing the engine quite so much. Now we've climbed out, this has to come off auto feather, the sync can come back on, And we're good to go again. Okay, so whereabouts are we? Let's have a look. So over to the east of us, you've got Snell's Beach, Walkworth, Dome Valley. Got Dome Forest. We're about to go over the top of a grass airstrip, Kaitaia Flats. So if we go and have a look. There's the grass airstrip, Kaitaia Flats. Someone's asking, are the Just Flight Turbo Arrow aircraft still one of the best GA aircraft? They're okay, but I think they've become a bit broken in recent updates. I think they need an update from Just Flight. But there are better GA aeroplanes around now. If you like flying twins, probably the best aircraft available in terms of being fully featured and flexible in the sim are probably the Cessna 310 made by Milviz and the Chancellor 414, which is made by, oh crikey, I can't remember the name. Sim something. No, it's not Simworks Studio, they make the Kodiak. Yeah, the Kodiak is very good as well, but I wouldn't really call the Kodiak a GA aircraft. The Coronado aircraft aren't actually that bad. I know people give them a really bad press because they're not, study level. The kind of the real aviation enthusiasts look down their nose at the Coronados, but their aircraft are actually really nice, and if you just want to go flying for half an hour and you don't want to get bogged down in engine management and all the rest of it, the Coronados are perfectly serviceable and they fly nicely. Their most recent one, the Archer, is very, very good. Favourite piston single? Oh, crikey. My favourite piston single in the simulator is not going to be a popular choice. It's the Bulldog by Black Box. There's an aircraft that was used in the late 1960s and early 70s in the UK for RAF pilot training called the Bulldog, and it's available. It was originally made by Scottish Aviation, and then they got bought out, and I'm trying to remember who bought them out. But yeah, the Bulldog it flies absolutely wonderfully. It doesn't look great in the cockpit. It's quite simplistic. It's a little bit like this. It's very clean and tidy, but that does mean it's extremely sharp and easy to read everything, and everything works as it should. But yeah, the Bulldog is great. It hasn't got an autopilot, so you have to hand fly it all the time. If that's a concern, then it's not going to be your cup of tea. Let's put it that way. Yeah, Black Box made the Bulldog in the simulator. The actual manufacturer was Scottish Aviation originally, but they got bought out by somebody. I think it might have been BAE that bought them out. That's British Aerospace. Okay, so we're trundling along at 5,000 feet towards our next airfield, which is only 5 miles in front of us. So we are going to come off the autopilot and the throttle and start descending. We need to have a look on the map to see about wind. So that's easy then, runway 03 at this one. That's an easy decision made for us. So this is North Shore. looking out for the airfield. It should be coming up fairly soon. Is this it down here? Yes, I believe it is. So we're just going to do left pattern landing in visual approach. So how are we doing for fuel, by the way? I haven't even looked at fuel. We got loads. Okay, get down, flaps down. Okay, so approach into North Shore. So we need to remember to go and turn the auto feathering on, turn the prop sync off. Pretty much lined up now. And because we're flying pretty much straight into the wind, we're not having such a big problem with crosswind this time, which is quite nice. Having said that, the aeroplane is trying desperately to roll. I think we're being hit by massive gusts. I'm having to fight it with massive control deflections. You're not seeing the result of it, but I'm having to really fight it. Yeah, we just got hit by a huge headwind. Lifted the plane up like it was on an elevator. It's a lot more stable now we're in the shelter of the airfield, which is nice. And we're down. It's a very narrow runway. And we're back up. And gear up. Winding the flaps out as we go. Picking up speed. Coming up to 100 knots. It's an interesting road down there. Okay, so we're going to turn right and carry on our way. So I'm going to go and check fuel in a minute. So flaps can come up, throttles can come off, and we can turn off the auto feathering, turn back on the propeller sync, and we're good to go again. So we'll get the aircraft onto an intercept course with the track on GPS. So autopilot back on, nav mode armed, and go back to 5,000 feet at 1,000 feet a minute, please. And let the aeroplane look after the route for the next few minutes. Okay, so we should be able to pick up the VOR now. 11640. Now, why wasn't it working earlier? So we'll make it active. We'll go to heading mode over here just for a moment. We'll switch this over to V. Yeah, it's working, look. How odd is that? So it should be that kind of direction from us, wasn't it? There it is, look. and this is obviously telling us it's 5.7 miles over to the radio navigation mast over here. Obviously, while doing that, we have now screwed up our route, but never mind. So we'll turn our heading back across the track of the GPS, and then go back to nav mode, and well, if we are intersecting, it will allow us to arm it. Okay, so let's go back to nav mode, and it has armed it. Good. So we're going to fly across the harbour here and see some nice buildings. So this is Auckland. I think what we might do is come off the autopilot actually. Let's go and visit Auckland. Let's go and have a look at the city. So I'm pretty sure it's got photogrammetry. So we're going to circle the buildings and have a look at downtown Auckland before we move on our route. Just trying to squeeze my head into the window to see a bit better. Just below the cloud base. Okay, let's pull this back to 50% throttle so we're not going to go screaming across the harbour. No, I don't think it is using photogrammetry. These look like stock buildings to me. And this is just normal 3D assets for the bridge by the look of it. Whoa, turbulence again. So we're coming back towards the track, which is good. I'll get it somewhere near the track by hand, and then we'll give it back to the autopilot. So you can see what the course deviation indicator is coming back in. So the HSI is pointing in the direction of the track on the map relative to us. As we get closer, the bar comes in. Climbing out as well up to 2,000 feet. We've got 12 miles until the next airfield, so we could just hand fly it. We're so close anyway. So where is the next airfield? Let's put this back on nav mode just briefly. Autopilot on, nav mode on. Let's put altitude hold mode on. It's at 2,000 feet at the moment on the button, which is fine. Yeah, just reading the live stream chat, the New Zealand update is coming soon, isn't it? So you'll probably find Auckland will be photogrammetry, as will Wellington and Christchurch and lots of other places. They're doing custom scenery for the likes of Queenstown, aren't they, and Milford Sound. So they really are going to go to town on them. It'd be really cool to see if they do Milford Sound nicely. It's such a beautiful approach there. See everybody going to get their shopping. That looks like an industrial park, doesn't it? So does that. Or is that a shopping mall over there, maybe, with the huge buildings and the car parks? Very possibly. Or a huge supermarket, maybe. Right, so let's go and see where we are. So we're just approaching Ardmore, which is our next stop. You know, I am tempted to go and switch airplanes and go and get the RV-10 out. I think it would be good fun, wouldn't it? So let me know in the live stream chat, do we switch airplanes at the next airfield? Do we go over to the RV-10? Oh, hello, we got some fighter planes come to join us. I won't be able to hear you at the moment because I think earlier on, I'm just going to go and double check this, I think I turned the sound off for other aircraft. Because I was trying, yeah I did. I was trying to record a video and the AI planes kept spawning next to me and revving their engines up. So I couldn't hear myself talk over them. So here comes the airfield. So what do we need to do in terms of the wind? So we're going runway 03 at Ardmore. Okay, that's easy. Let's go and scoot over to the wing here so you get to see it as well. So we're going to come in over here, look. So we're just joining the pattern basically. Shouldn't take long. Yeah, okay then, just reading the live stream chat. I'll go and get the RV-10 out as soon as I land at Ardmore. We'll just land, then I'll jump out to the main menu and go grab it and come back. See, this thing does have reversers. It can reverse pitch on the propellers. I've never used it on the runway, so it'd be interesting to see what happens. Whoa, did you see that drop a wing then? That was turbulence. Okay, I'm just going to park up here then and jump out to the main menu. So we got as far as Ardmore, NZAR. I need to spawn back in then. And to make our journey route easy, let's go and delete those off. Save the rest of our route as a plan. Save. From Ardmore to Wellington. Save. And then we should be able to come back in here, put in NZAR. Change planes to the vans. The RV10, there it is. We'll put ourselves, let's go and load from this PC. From downloads, the Ardmore to Wellington flight plan, and there we go. But we will change our starting position to a parking. Excuse me. Oh, what's this done? Oh, you know what I've done? When I saved this, I saved it as VFR. File. Save it as a PLN file. Save. Save. Space. Load from this PC. Downloads the VFR Ardmore. Put myself on the runway. Set as departure. Yeah, it's a lot happier with that. And go. So I'll need to change the profile as well as soon as we're loaded in for the aircraft to make it a single engine controls, so the levers make sense on the quadrant. Should be back very shortly. I'm just waiting for it to load up. Okay, ready to fly. So, fuel tanks, battery master switch, alternator master, standby, avionics. Pitot heat. This should, yeah, it's already got the route on it, which is great. We're just waiting for this to fire up. We'll turn the pitot heat off while we're waiting, so we don't burn anything. While we're waiting for that to fire up, let's go and start the engine. Oh, it actually helps. Like I said, I haven't gone and can change the control configuration. This needs to be on single engine aircraft. Just so my levers make sense. There it is. Apply. Go back. Resume. We will now find out that we have a working throttle mixture lever. We will also go and push that to there, and we'll go and try and turn the engine over again. That sounds a bit better. Okay, and we're in the grass at the moment. Where is the runway? Just over there. So go straight ahead and then turn around. Go and mow this person down. Okay, so if you've not seen this plane yet, oh, I don't want that person next to me. Let's go and get rid of him before we fly. So if we go into payload, we should be able to zero out the payload for the co-pilot, make him disappear. There we go. We don't have to deal with somebody sitting there now. Okay. Flaps up. It's a fixed gear aircraft, so it's very, very straightforward to fly. We haven't put the lights on, have we? nav lights, strobe lights, landing lights, and that's it. Okay. Should be a bit more fun sightseeing in this one, if we don't get run over by an F-18. So we'll just circle the airfield we've taken off from to have a look at it. It's a bit more fun for sightseeing, isn't it, in something like an RV-10. Shadow of an F-18 just went shooting over the airfield. Okay. Off we go on our route. So this has autopilot too. I'm just going to pull the mixture and the throttle back a little bit. We don't need to be going that fast. Use the aileron trim to stop us rolling around. Descending, we shouldn't be. There we go. So let's go and have a play with this one then. So we've got an autopilot, so let's go and switch it on. We've got yaw damper. We'll go for altitude. Oh, sorry, not approach mode. We don't want approach mode. We do want nav mode. Is this in? It's in the wrong mode at the moment though. Let's get this over to CDI or GPS mode. Sorry. That's done, and then altitude hold, there we go. Very good. So we can set a target altitude over here of say 3,000 feet. And then we can give it vertical speed mode and tell it to climb at say 1,000 feet a minute, which it will quite easily do. Yeah, there's another one of those F-18s, look, that's come to harass us. Why have we not got landing lights on? Have I not done something? Or is that the taxi light that I'm looking at? Yeah, that's the taxi. I'm just not seeing them at the right angle, I think. So yeah, nav lights are working. Just wondering where the strobe is. So let's figure out where we are at the moment. So we're heading down. There's a crosswind, which is why you can see the autopilot's trying to crab us. It's not doing a great job at it. Have we still got it on nav mode? So it's... no, it's not. That's why we're not following the track. And it won't switch on now, look, because we are deviating away from it. So there's a bit of a lesson there for everybody. So what you need to do is get the heading bug, which is on the wrong side. I'm just moving this heading bug round. We're going to stay on autopilot. We're just on wing level mode at the moment. So we'll get at the other side of the track and then go to heading mode. Yeah, so we're going to intersect the track, which will pull the CDI back in towards the middle. And then once you're doing that, you should find, he says, famous last words. It's stunning that it's not letting us. I wonder if this has got the same bug in it where you have to cycle the CDI mode. It would surprise me. Or is it just because we haven't switched this on? It might be. It might be because we haven't switched both on. So it's not going to play games with nav mode. We'll wait until this comes up and see what happens. Because this has got the CDI button, remember. so they're kind of integrated. It's really using this and displaying here. We've really exposed here that it's not really as accurate as it looks. Without this running, this really shouldn't be displaying anything. So now we should be able to go to the nav, and it still won't let us look. That's interesting. Let's turn the heading back across again. I mean, we're nearly at the next airfield anyway, so I'm not going to worry too much. It's just interesting to try these systems out and figure out, you know, what makes them tick. So if we have a look where we are on the map. Oh, I say that, we're nowhere near yet. Oh, I see. It's just showing that there is an airfield underneath our track. NZKC, which we're about to pass here, look. NZME, then it's down here, look. NZKC, Kelly Field. Yeah, that makes sense. But it still doesn't explain why this is not engaging nav mode. It's just going to wing level mode as soon as we ask for nav. Oh, is it not got the correct leg? Is that what it's complaining about? NZAR to NZHN. So it's got the correct leg as the current leg. It gets stranger. Oh well. We'll just leave it on that screen anyway. We can always use heading mode. It's not a major problem, especially if we're just point-to-point flying like this. It's just a bit odd. I noticed a few problems with this yesterday actually. I didn't say anything about them. So there appears there are a few bugs still for them to iron out, and it is a bit of an odd mixture, isn't it, having the 3000 screens with the GNS 430. It's a little bit of a strange mixture, and they have done some custom stuff because they've put the engine controls in one of the G3000s, but anyway, we won't get too hung up on it. Peach Lemon is saying, the turbulence! Yeah, we could turn the live weather off and get away with the, you know, remove the turbulence immediately. Should we see what the various potted weathers look like? Obviously clear skies, look how smooth we are now. If we go for few clouds, it looks very pretty, doesn't it, with few clouds. Go for scattered clouds. Or we could go for broken clouds. Oh, that looks a bit dramatic, but you can't see where we're going. It does look good, doesn't it? Not very good for sightseeing, though. We could do high level clouds. So we've got some stratus stuff up there. Overcast weather. Horrible day. It's like typical British weather, really. And raining. So we've got rainstorms all over the place. Let's put it on few clouds, shall we? Just because it's nice for sightseeing. Can I activate transmitter? Of course I can. I'll go and run it now. And I'll change my name on here to be who I actually am, and connect. So if you've never seen transmitter, it's a little program I wrote ages and ages ago, and you will notice now there is a little red aeroplane appearing underneath mine as I move along the map. Every 5 seconds it will update, and it allows you, anybody that's running transmitter will have a red aeroplane appear on the map. So you will notice that we are seeing AI aircraft, but none of the multiplayer aircraft. The guy flying along behind us over here is Ellis. good friend that does group flights with me from time to time, that lives in New Zealand. And yeah, he's running transmitter, therefore we can see a red aeroplane on the map. So it allows you to see people in a little nav map. That's what transmitter does. So transmitter is called it because it transmits your position to a database on the internet that I built. And then there's a web service there that little nav map can plug into to read all of those aircraft positions. So we can actually go, or we can get to it from little nav map, from transmitter. We can say who is online, and it will open a browser, and you get a map of the world with the people using transmitter right now. And then obviously, whoops, zoom back. You can then look down the screen and see where any of them are. And say if we wanted to click on one of them, like myself, it will zoom the map into where I am in the world right now. Yeah. So that's what transmitter does. So if you just leave it running in the background, it's transmitting our position so other people can make use of it. The guy, I'm not going to mangle your name. The guy that's just said this is exactly what I don't enjoy about the Garmin systems. They are getting better. The RV10 is a bit of a strange one though, because it's got this hybrid home-built mixture of bits in it. So it may be that certain functions don't work right because they don't work right in the real one. But we won't know unless we had an RV10 sat in the back garden, I guess. Okay, we're just a few miles out from Hamilton now. This aircraft's quite rapid, isn't it? You can do sort of 150 knots at 70% throttle, 80% throttle. Have to keep an eye on the fuel between the two tanks because it's low wing, so we're burning. Having said that, look, that's not working. The fuel quantity gauge isn't working. Ooh, that's a good bug. So we don't actually know how much fuel we've got. Can we see up here? Yeah, so we can see the burn down here, but the gauge in here hasn't got it. So that's a bug they need to fix. That's a really good one. I guess you have to remember this is version 1.0 of this aeroplane being released. It was only released like 2 days ago. So probably shouldn't be surprised that it's a bit flaky at the moment. The scenery's great, isn't it? F-18 just went whistling past. You probably noticed I don't fly the military jets in Flight Simulator, mostly because they are uniformly garbage in Flight Simulator. I've got DCS installed. It's worth pointing out to everybody, DCS is free. Okay, you pay for the airplanes, but you pay for them in Flight Simulator. But nearly all of the airplanes in DCS are study level. You can get a pack of aeroplanes that gives you an A10 and an F-15 and things like that. It's called the Flaming Wings pack for DCS, that gives you kind of Coronado level military jets, but you can blow stuff up in them. And the flight model for the military jets or for the fast jets is massively better than Flight Sim. Flight Sim is really good at airliners and GA aircraft, but it's rubbish at military jets, but you know, fast jets. It really is terrible at them. So that's an incorrect substitution that's happening right there. That aeroplane that came past and you saw the roll rate, it wasn't really an A320, it was something else. But I've removed most of my aircraft from the simulator at the moment. Mostly to shorten up the loading times. Okay, so we seem to have a few different aeroplanes flying along with us now. We're approaching Hamilton. So we are 17 miles out from Hamilton now. Is this working now? It's working. Hurrah! Let's have a look at the airplane. Yeah, I'll do some videos with DCS at some point soon if anybody's interested in it. Someone's asking about my graphics that I'm getting. I limit it to 30 frames a second on purpose. I can't see any point of going faster than that. I know the people who play first-person shooters will insist on 60 frames a second, and I think that's just a fool's game. For what you're doing in a flight simulator, you don't need it. And to be honest, I could run this an awful lot faster if I ran it on a 1080p monitor. I'm running on 4K here. I could run it though a lot more smoothly. The problem would be the PC below the desk would turn itself into about a 5 kilowatt heater if I do that. And it can handle it, it's got liquid cooling and all the rest of it. But I can't see the point of doing it. 30 frames a second is enough. So Peach Lemon's asking, what is your opinion on the upcoming India Fox Echo F14? Do you think it will be garbage? It depends if they write an external flight model for it. They are working with the guys that wrote that created the F14 for DCS. And the F14 in DCS is fantastic, but DCS has a very different way of modelling flight models. So it's kind of tailored for accurate flight modelling of a specific aeroplane, whereas Flight Sim tends to try to solve the general case. But like, I guess that all of these simulators, people argue one is better than the other, and you used to get the X-Plane crowd saying, oh, you know, Flight Sim's garbage, and you know, the flight model in X-Plane uses blade element theory, blah 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 blah. Well, actually, this Flight Sim's using fluid dynamics now, and it's more accurate than X-Plane, according to real pilots. But they're all simulators. They are simulating. And they use different methods of simulating that all approach the same goal in different ways and for different purposes. If you want an accurate aircraft in Flight Sim, the best one of the lot probably at the moment is the Phoenix Airbus, because it has an external flight model. But that is seen in the reduction in frame rate. But it flies exactly like the real Airbus. And numerous real Airbus pilots that have tested it have, you know, attested to that it is stupendously realistic. That Hornet is trying to do 140 knots, look, quite unsuccessfully. So we're just coming up towards the airfield. So I try to stay out of the whole which simulator has the best flight model argument as much as I can, because I think they are all good, and we are lucky that we've got both the military simulator in DCS and a fantastic GA and civilian simulator in Flight Sim. I think X-Plane 12 is also very good. It just can't hope to compete with Flight Sim anymore because it has a team of, what, 20 people working on it, whereas Flight Sim has 300, with basically a written off balance sheet from Microsoft. This is being used as a test bed, as far as I understand, for Azure, or Azure if you're American. So yeah, someone said in the live stream chat, DCS and the A4 mod. Not a lot of people know this. You can download, there's two versions of DCS. There's the normal one you might download that is tightly controlled by digital combat. No, what are they called? I can't remember the name. My brain's gone. the company that make DCS, oh crikey. Anyway, they make two versions of DCS. There's the standard version, there's also the beta, or the open beta I think it's called. And the open beta, you can put unlicensed mods in it. The most famous of Eagle Dynamics, that's it, thank you, Defcon. The open beta, the most famous unlicensed mod for it, is made by a group of enthusiasts, including real-world ex-fighter pilots that have made a very, very accurate Skyhawk, set an A4 Skyhawk, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's completely study level, it is not friendly to fly, but if you know how to fly it, it's just fantastic. Okay, so I'm just coming off the throttle, and we're going to go into the pattern here at Hamilton, wasn't it? What I'd like to see is those F-18s that are buzzing around do a pattern and land, and we'll all sit and watch them. So I'll circle and we'll watch the runway after I've done my touch and go. I'll circle and we'll all sit and watch the F-18s come in and do proper landings. So they're all showing off, buzzing everybody around the place. Let's see if they can actually fly. It's a nice big runway. The F-18 is very easy to fly. Plus, if they are F-18s, they may not be. But even so, I'd like to see them land. So we're going to do a Spitfire approach, because we can. And it's an enormous runway.
500.
Okay, so let's go and get back in the air. Where have the F-18s gone then? Are they going to come in and show us how to do it? Can't see them. Somebody coming in from over here. Nicely done. Just another one coming in.
500.
The interesting thing about the F-18 is you can actually get away with, well, you're supposed to land it really heavily. Supposed to basically crash it into the runway. Very good. See, they actually can fly. I wonder if this will lose fuel pressure if I fly upside down. Apparently not. Okay, next leg. Carry on. Further southwest. Southeast even, sorry. So, just reading the live stream chat. Hello, I have a question for you. I have so many inoperative, I think you meant to write, buttons in the game. Depends which aircraft you're using. A lot of the stock aeroplanes have got lots of inoperative buttons, but most of the or some of the third-party aircraft have got, you know, either, you know, better or worse systems actually. So the cheaper the plane tends to have more inoperative bits and pieces in them. If you want one that's got everything that works, there's a free A320 project called the Fly-by-Wire A320, which you can install into the PC version of Flight Simulator, and it's basically a study level A320. It's not quite as good as its commercial relative, which is the Phoenix Airbus, but the fly-by-wire one is built by enthusiasts and it's free and it's open source. If you want a GA or commercial aviation aircraft that's study level, Black Square make a couple of different aeroplanes for Flight Sim. There's the Caravan and a replacement for, or no, it doesn't replace it. It adds an extra version of the King Air 350 in Flight Sim, the twin. So Black Square make two replacement cockpits for those that give them analog cockpits, and they are very, very good. The reason, just reading Defcon's note, the reason the fly-by-wire Airbus has got better frame rate than the Phoenix is because the fly-by-wire Airbus is using the Flight Simulator flight model. The Phoenix is running an external flight model. So it's not using the flight model of the simulator at all, which is why it behaves like a real Airbus, because it's designed just to be an Airbus. It's coming up to this ridge. Let's have a look on the map, see where we are. So it's quite stable. Look, I'm not on autopilot. I've just trimmed the aeroplane now and it's flying along quite happily. Okay, the weather is now a lot easier because we've switched it to few clouds, but so we've got this nice quiet run over to Tokoroa. So what we're going to do is switch the autopilot on. I'm going to go make myself a quick drink. So we'll go for autopilot on, which will go for wing leveling and pitch hold. We'll go for altitude hold at 3,000 feet, which is fine. We will go for, where's the heading bug at the moment? Let's spin that heading over. Heading bug, or heading mode. And let's go for, yeah, it still won't pick up nav. I wonder why. If I go on this, change this to GPS again, just cycle it around. Why won't it pick nav mode up? We probably need to climb a bit before we slam into that hill. That's odd. Okay, let's change our altitude up to 5,000 feet. And go to vertical speed mode and tell it to climb at 1,000 feet a minute, please. Just to get us over this hill. Ease the throttle open a bit more. Cut the mixture back to lean it out because we're climbing now above 3,000 feet, so we don't need anything like as rich a mixture. We have some company. I'll leave the camera pointing, I'll just make sure there isn't a hill right in front of us. I'll leave the camera pointing backwards for a few minutes then. I'll pull open little nav map and open the minimal window layout and put this over here out of the way so you can see where we are in terms of the route. And I'm going to go and quickly go and make myself a drink. Oh, somebody just said about non-active legs. That's a good point. So it hasn't picked up the active leg. But, yeah, NZHN to... So this has fallen out of step with this. There's bugs, isn't there? This is showing the active leg, look. It's counting it down. It just hasn't coloured it in on here. It's bust. It's lost synchronization between the two systems, basically. I might have done that by accident, but I didn't know that you could do that. So I've obviously caused it, but why or how, I don't know. Because that's reflecting the leg we're on, which is this one. Anyway. I'm going to leave it there for the moment. Oh, look, there's a vision jet just coming up behind us. So, Trenko Martin is saying, I use the stock A320 Neo, what should I buy? Get the fly-by-wire A320. If you want to learn a real, an A320 that works like the real thing, get the fly-by-wire one. It's free. Then you haven't spent any money. Right, I'm going to go make that drink. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, it's a great shout from Simon Taylor as well. If you are into the big jets, the 737-600 is very, very good value. Okay, let's have a look and see where we are and see where the airfield is. Autopilot off. Should be an airfield behind this cloud somewhere. Famous last words. Maybe it's further that way. Dave Dugdale, saw you online. Yeah, I was messing around with the Bandeirante earlier. We switched over to the RV10 because people were asking if they could see it, so here it is. So we're just heading in towards, what was the name of the airfield? Tokoro. I'm not sure how the stresses work on the letters in Maori language. I haven't got a clue. So we should be heading pretty much directly for the runway, but I can't see it. Am I being blind? Ah, here it is. Trouble is, unless you visited somewhere before, it's not always easy to know what to look for, is it? So we'll do a left pattern to come in to make it a bit more interesting. There's no wind to speak of, so we don't need to worry. We do appear to have broken the autopilot. I wonder if we've broken it in the wider simulator, not just this aircraft. Because it was playing up earlier, if you remember. So come off the speed. This plane is an awful lot more straightforward to fly than the Bandeirante was. It's a nice little kart track down there. Okay, so first stage of flaps. We're still being thrown around now. fly over the top of this guy to do our touch and go. Flaps back to takeoff position, and up, and we're away. Okay, so turn back around. Whoa, what was that? That was the something just missed our nose. Whereabouts are we on the route? Let's have a look at a little nav map. So next is down to Taupo. 142 degrees. So, if this isn't going to let us fly GPS nav mode, I wonder if it will work on flying to a beacon. When we get past Taupo, we'll try going to the Napier VOR and see if it will align and lock the... Because if this isn't picking up legs on the integration, I would wager that's not a Mooney that's just climbed past us. It's just an aircraft I haven't got in the hangar at the moment. Stop climbing. I'm guessing all these green fields mean they are probably sheep farming or something. Okay, that was a bit close. Where we are, just leaving behind Kinleith, going into the hills. Now I've done a similar route to this before, and we did follow I think we followed this river to come in towards Taupo. I seem to remember. Obviously I'm going to straight line it today. I'm guessing this hill here is the one we can see out there in the distance. Turbulence is really playing games with us, isn't it? big question is, do we follow the river to come into... What I might do is I might only make it as far as Napier this evening, because I am actually getting quite tired. Maybe call it an evening at Napier, but at least that means we cross the hills on the way into Napier. Have I tested the Vilga yet? Yeah, I've got it in the hangar. I just haven't flown it for a while. It's one of my favourite aeroplanes in the sim. It's very, very good. And again, it's probably what you might argue is study level. It's really, really good. And you can damage the engine in it in all sorts of interesting ways. Have I played Map Simulator? What is Map Simulator? Never heard of that. There's that hill we saw on the map. So if we zoom out on here, I wonder if we reprogrammed our route, if it would reconnect the two systems. It's a shame it stopped working, isn't it? Should we take the RPM back a bit? We're pushing it on the limit all the time. Whoops. This is one of the problems with this aeroplane. You can't easily get to the... there we go. The RPM lever. From the pilot's eye view, if that is in front of that, you can't get to it. It's interesting, we've been running on left tank the whole time. Let's see how depleted it's become. So we're almost out on the left tank, so we're going to switch over to right tank. So we might have some issues with trim. Doesn't look like it's too bad. So Napier is on the edge of this lake down here. So when we get a little bit closer, it'll be interesting to see what it looks like. Let's have a look on the map. Sorry, Taupo is on the lake, Napier's over on the coast. So where in relation to the town is it? It's on the far end of the town, so it's going to be over on the far bank over there somewhere is the airfield. That's interesting that the The GPS is no longer showing multiplayer aircraft either, so it's broken. Maybe because I'm just zoomed out too far. Okay, it was just filtering them. Yeah, my suspicion was correct. So you can now see the airfield on the far side of the town. So approaching Taupo. See the runway. Should we go direct in from this side? We'll go low over the town to go and visit, shall we? Yeah, I've heard about this. Someone's just posted about Taupo supervolcano. This is the caldera, isn't it? The lake. I think this blew up at some point in the distant past. And so this lake is what's left of the top of it. Taupo. Okay. Dog's foot. Yeah. It's a bit like, I was going to say Jellystone, Yellowstone in the US is a supervolcano, isn't it? And they thought it was dormant and wasn't supposed to go off in our lifetimes, and then about 20 years ago, 10 years ago, something like that, I think it was 20 years ago, the level of the ground at Yellowstone rose by a metre in a very short time period, and the seismologists had to kind of keep a lid on it, because if the press had got hold of that, they would have started an absolute panic. Comes the Vision Jet underneath us. Okay, so we need to be turning left towards Napier over on the coast. So let's go and find out what heading it actually is. 119 degrees. So let's go and get the heading marker sorted out. It's almost there already, isn't it? There we go. Got to clear these hills along the way, so what we'll do is go and set up the autopilot to get us there. So autopilot on, heading mode on. I'm going to go and set up the target altitude. It's at 5,000 at the moment. It might not be enough, but we'll go for vertical speed to get there of 1,000 feet a minute. and let the aeroplane get on with it. Now we are flying towards the VOR beacon at Napier. We'll tune it in, 113.80. So switch this over, 113.80, switch it to active, change the CDI to VLOC. So we need to change the course, which is the inner track here. We appear to have no working radio, which is a shame. It may be we've just got no signal, because it's going to be constrained by line of sight and there are hills in the way. So if we just go and set that altitude target for higher, let's go for 7,500 feet. Let it continue flying on at 1,000 feet a minute. It's just, I wonder if we will pick this up eventually. It'd be fascinating to find out. We want the mixture pulled back to we're not going to live with that climb rate, are we? Not without opening the engine a bit more. And let's speed the propeller up a little bit. We're doing a bit better now. It'll be interesting to see if this lights up, if we get a signal. Although I was showing VOR2, that would be why. Being an idiot, aren't I? Okay. Oh, I suppose that's because this is the converted kind of hybrid system, isn't it? In a normal system, GNS 430 would be in combination with a fully featured G3000, which this isn't. So can we get to the nav radio in here? Interesting. Because that's using that's using nav 2. There is no nav 1, so it's appeared in the air. There is no other one, otherwise it would appear. It's a bug, I think. Not entirely sure. I'm on Southeast Asia, I'm just looking at the live stream. No, it's not that we're too far away. Well, it may be that we're too far away. So this is nav 2 then. This is this weird hybrid, because I'm guessing if you had the full G3000, this would be nav 1 and that would be nav 2, but then this would have both of them. But why have we only got nav 2 showing up? This is, yeah, VOR2, look. There's no indication here that this is VOR2. We'll wait until we get a bit closer. Is there anything behind us we could tune into to verify? Yeah, Rotorua 112.10. So let's use the other frequency to go for 112.10. Change the frequencies over and nothing. And that's over flat ground. Well, there's a small hill in the way, but nothing massive. Anyway, let's have a look outside. Altitude were we up to? Oh, we're at 7,500. Should we go for 9? Get above this cloud so we can actually see where we're going. 9,000 feet, please, and we'll do it at vertical speed of 1,000 feet a minute. And we will lean it out further. So we're actually accelerating uphill. Leah said there's too many pylons. It's a bit of an in-joke. So this will probably be the last leg tonight because I'm getting really tired and it's still quite a long way down. It's 150 miles down to Wellington. We've made pretty good progress though, haven't we? We flew all the way down to, was it Hamilton where we switched over from the Bandeirante? I think it might have been. We had a play with the RV10. Just coming up to 9,000. Not quite above the cloud, but we're above some of it. Vision Jet's here with us. Oh, somebody wants to be our friend. Can't do that while I'm flying because it'll mess everybody else up, because they'll pause the sim if I press escape to go and accept the friend request, but I will do it after the flight. Yeah, if anybody wants to add me as a friend in the sim, go for it. Don't mind at all. Username in Flight Sim is John Beck. It's JONBECKETT. I will accept all friend requests. I will also accept all likes, all follows, all subscribes, whatever. How are we doing? Let's have a look. Some pretty awesome scenery coming up. When you're on the South Island, 10,000 feet seems to be the magic number for clipping the mountain tops. I just find the graphics in the simulator are unreal. Very, very good. Seeing as we are heading towards our final destination for the day, I'm going to change my time of day to make it into the evening. So we're going to make the sun go down on purpose. There we go. It's better, isn't it? So Kyle is asking, do you fly on VATSIM or just the normal servers? I very rarely fly on VATSIM. I have done in the past. I sometimes do some group flights for some guys that do ATC called My Air, who are on the internet. They've got their own Discord server as well. But yeah, I don't usually get a lot of time to do VATSIM. I have thought about recording it. I'm not sure whether you're allowed to. I'll have to check with VATSIM if they're okay with that, because I thought it'd be nice to do some instructional videos about communicating with air traffic control. Cookie Monster is saying about the update 12, yeah, because the New Zealand update is coming. I have a horrible feeling they're going to give us an outdated set of data for New Zealand licensed from Orbex, and then obviously Orbex will sell off the back of it an improved set of data with all the major cities up to date, because that's kind of what they did with Australia. I may be wrong, you know. We'll wait and see. Yes, we're going to have a look from inside the aeroplane. In fact, this light is the wrong way to see the hills now, isn't it? Should we turn it to early morning so they are lit from the other side? There we go. That would have been the way to fly across the hills, wouldn't it? That's much more better. As Captain Jack might have said. This is the Simwork Studios RV10 if you've not seen it. It just came out a few days ago. There seems to be a few bugs to do with the cockpit, but otherwise it's very good. Yep, completely agree with Lee. We are very lucky that this sim can do so many different situations and simulate so many different things. It's very, very good. Okay, so we can see the ocean below us, so we probably need to start descending. Just clearing the edge of the mountain range. It's funny, there's an Eskdale in the north of England, in the Lake District. I guess, yeah, because you get a Rissington, there's a Rissington in the UK. A lot of the places, place names were borrowed. Obviously you get a lot of probably sailor names of the early settlers, like Havelock, Clive, Clifton. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they are names of the first settlers. Anyway, let's get back in the aeroplane, come off the autopilot, pull the throttle back and start descending. Look at that scenery, it's ridiculous, isn't it? So clever. We'll descend through this gap in the cloud, shall we? And go scooting across the fields the rest of the way. So according to the GPS, for the part of the GPS that's actually working, can we not get this to come back to centre on us? Yes, we can. We've got 20 miles to run to our destination. Yeah, just looking at Cookie Monster's message there about most New Zealand place names being UK or European unless they are from Maori. The interesting thing I didn't know until recently, our friend Alice, who was on earlier flying along with us, was telling us, I didn't realise that before the European settlers arrived in New Zealand, the Maoris didn't have a written language, and we gave them a written language, so we gave them their first recorded history. or the opportunity to record their history for the first time. It was all, I guess, similar to Native Americans, that they had an oral history, which is fine, but obviously it's not as reliable as a written history. Be interesting to find some books about that, about, you know, how that all came about, of them taking on the English language, or not just the English language, but language full stop, a written language. Must be a fascinating story. So we're still on track. I'm just flying manually now, descending down slowly. So looking at Dave Douglas's comment about the flow add-on, yeah, I'm a bit torn by it, because I like operating the aeroplanes as they're designed to be operated. That's kind of half the fun for me, and I think it would take some of the fun out of that. It's like I've got a Stream Deck here, and I've ended up not actually using it for Flight Simulator very much. I use it for other things, but I've ended up not using the Stream Deck very often, because I like using the aircraft as it's intended to be used, and like learning the logic of how things work together and how things function. That's half the fun for me. But I guess that's why I was so taken with the Bandeirante that we were flying earlier, is because it was so different than other aircraft in terms of, you know, the buttons and levers and switches and dials and okay, so we should start to see there's a spit of land here, look, where the bay is. So once this cloud clears out of the way, it's here, look. You can just see it through the cloud. Napier Airfield is right down there on the curve. So we might be dealing with some low cloud when we get there. We're saying that we're climbing at the moment, which is not a great idea. So just reading the comment from Greg Law, why didn't I wait for the scenery? Well, why not have a fly now, and then we could do it again and compare them. So Lee's asking, is the vans in the marketplace? I don't think so, not yet. You can get it from Simworks Studio though. It's about £15, something like that. It might be a little bit cheaper than that, I can't remember. Obviously, if you get it from Simworks Studios, then the developers get all the money, rather than Microsoft taking a huge slice of it. Also, you get updates as soon as they're released, rather than having to wait a few weeks. So yeah, Dave's saying he uses the Stream Deck as well for certain buttons. The one massive advantage I've used the Stream Deck for is for DCS, for operating the weapon systems in a fighter jet, to like change radar modes and things like that. So when you're in the middle of a dogfight, everything is to hand in kind of quite an ergonomic way, because I don't have a fighter jet HOTAS joystick or quadrant. So having the Stream Deck is kind of a good compromise to go towards that direction. This cloud is not being much fun, is it? Should we go... Oh, I'll leave it on for the moment. It's just I'm aware that we're not very high. We're 3,000 feet. If we dive for the floor... Let's see how low we are when we come out of the cloud. If indeed we do. Oh, I think we're going to be lucky. Let's zoom in on the map. Okay, let's just have a quick look at Little Nav Map to find out where the airfield is. So there's 2 hard runways and a grass runway just on this end of the town, so they're down here in the darkness. So should we move the sun? I know this is cheating. Shall we move the time of day again, put it into evening maybe, so we can see the runway? Yeah, it was right in front of us all along. Look, it was just hidden in the murk. So we'll circle the airfield before we decide on a landing spot. So there's the long runway. There's another one this way. So should we do a left circuit into this one?
$500.
It's a huge runway, isn't it? Okay, we'll go for the next taxiway, shall we? Rather than slam into him. It's not a taxiway, is it? It's the runway. I guess we have to find somewhere to park. Going to swing round next to the Baron, I think it is, isn't it? Okay, mixture to idle, propeller condition off, and then just turn everything off inside, and ignition off. And yeah, this has got gull wing doors, hasn't it? I keep forgetting that. Let some fresh air in. It's also got some tie-down type stuff for outside. If we go and turn the tablet on... Oh, the tablet's broken. Maybe it needs charging up. Obviously that's probably a symptom of the rest of it breaking earlier. I don't think my simulator has been very well for the last hour. Anyway, that was good fun, wasn't it? Oh, someone's about to put their plane in the field over there by the look of it. I thought I saw somebody rolling. There we go. Very good. Right, I'm going to call it a night there, and I'll see you all again soon. I will be taking part in the group flight, hopefully tomorrow evening, with Virtual Flight Online. So if you don't know about their group flights, go to the virtualflight.online website and have a look at the Discord server, and you'll find all the details for their group flights in the Discord server. You'll see various recordings I've done over the months of group flights in the past in my YouTube channel. But yeah, Virtual Flight Online is a great group of people, all kind of like-minded aviation enthusiasts. Not too many idiots, hopefully, apart from myself, obviously. Anyway, I'm going to call it a night there, and I'll see you again soon.